There are a few things worse than a boring meeting. You're sitting there, watching the clock tick down, thinking about all the other important things you have to do. You're asking questions, but no one's really engaging, we're just all kind of going through the motions. And worst of all, this is a recurring meeting, so this nightmare you've had today, well, you're going to have it next week as well. It's unlikely that you're the only one feeling this way, but until someone breaks formation and brings up these problems, nothing is going to change. I want to share a few examples that we've had at Quin where a practice has become stale, dull, and painful. So my first example is something that we call the Tech Coven. It's something that I wanted to bring about when I first joined Quin, and the idea was it was a space to talk about technical issues, technical problems, and ways of working. For a number of reasons, this wasn't terribly effective. We would have far too many actions. We would have difficulty getting consensus or navigating disagreements, and a lot of the actions just wouldn't get done. We've now focused the sessions a lot more on technical alignment, and we've been very clear about what we're willing to fix and getting just the right amount of tech debt for this stage of the company. So what's the lesson here? We wasted a huge amount of time on a meeting with theoretical value that didn't really pay out. If we'd been honest with ourselves about the pains and frustrations of the meeting, perhaps we could have pivoted sooner to the new format, which is a much better fit for our team. Another example of a session that wasn't really working for us at Quin were the retrospectives. By now, we should all understand the value of continuous improvement and how retrospectives are a really good way to effect change. Like many agile teams, we would just run the kind of bog standard retrospective format of what worked well, what could we improve, any kind of questions. While the sessions were often useful and we'd have sparks of interesting conversation and actions, eventually it all became a little bit samey and a bit dull. As a team, we decided that the time that we'd spend for retrospective should still be earmarked for kind of learning, reflection, and team improvement, but that retrospectives weren't the only way of achieving this kind of goal. We moved to doing retros every other week, and in all the off sessions, we actually decided to do a book club for kind of like work-related books that we thought would help improve our process and our practices. We also jazzed up the retro format week by week to try and prompt different thoughts and encourage different types of conversations. So a couple of formats that I particularly enjoyed were the Three Little Pigs, which is a really good way of analyzing kind of like our strengths and weaknesses and seeing what parts of our process are just about holding together. Another format that I really like is the lessons learnt quadrants, where on one axis you have successes and failures, and on the other axis you have planned and unplanned. And we found this is a really good way of looking back at the previous quarter and really understanding how many of the things that went well were due to things we wanted, due to things we planned, and how many of the failures were due to just omissions. Another format that we really enjoyed was the Spotify Team Health Check. In this, there's a number of kind of like team areas that we rate the team on, either kind of like red, amber, or green. And that's, that obviously sparks conversation, but we do this activity again periodically and we can see how the team is doing. Which areas are we improving in? Which areas are we just kind of like tracking the same on? And is there anywhere that actually we're getting worse? By continually changing our retro format, it challenges us to hone into different areas, different practices, and really focus on how we can improve those. It's very easy with the bog standard retro just to stay very high level and never get to a more detailed level of understanding for some of the practices. So with all this, the first most important step is realizing that your meetings have a problem. Bring it up with whoever is facilitating the meeting, or if you're comfortable, bring it up with the whole group. You can talk about why you feel this way. You can ask someone to reiterate the purpose of the meeting, and then maybe focus in on what value it's meant to bring and whether it's actually achieving the goals you want it to. Once you've been able to discuss the root cause of the pain, you'll have a much better chance of being able to fix the underlying problem. And as with many things, there's no one-size-fits-all solution to this. So you may have to experiment, try different things, see what really works for your team. I'd love to hear from you. What ineffective meetings have you been in? And have you used any strategies to help you think differently and make the best use of your time?